Have you ever found yourself in a place that's, usually bustling with life, but suddenly it's just eerily quiet? That unsettling feeling when something just isn't quite right, that little prickle on the back of your neck. Today, we're taking a deep dive into some truly unnerving experiences, and they're all centered around places we think of as relaxing havens, beach houses. You've shared some incredible, honestly chilling accounts with us, and our mission today is to unpack these stories, pull out the key insights, and really understand what makes them so uniquely unsettling.
It is fascinating, isn't it? How a familiar place, somewhere comforting, can just transform into a scene of real suspense, fear even. We'll be digging into 3 distinct accounts today. Each one gives a pretty unique perspective on unexpected intrusions and that feeling, that deep feeling of vulnerability when you're away from your normal routine. What's really striking, I think, is how these incidents, which seem isolated, actually highlight these common themes. Perceived safety versus the hidden threats that might just be lurking beneath the surface.
All right, let's jump right into the first one. So our first narrator, fresh out of college, that time, that classic in-between period, lots of unexpected free time. And to feel productive, they agreed to do a simple favor for their Uncle Rick. Just check on his massive beach house in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. It's about a 2-hour drive from Pennsylvania, apparently. The task was just basic maintenance, really, just to save Rick hiring someone. Now, this house, it's described as massive. Like, it usually holds 25 family members for summer get-togethers, always full of board games, noise, activity. But this time, the narrator said it felt eerie, abandoned, and just surprisingly silent. Anyway, they left in the late afternoon, which they later regretted because, well, they hate driving at night. So they texted their mom, got the okay to stay over. Normally, during family trips, they'd get, quote, jammed into some small room on the 3rd floor. But this time, whole house to themselves, they decided, hey, why not? Let's go for the luxurious master bedroom on the 2nd floor, private bathroom, walk-in closet, super comfy bed, the works.
And that right there, that raises an interesting point. How does that shift from a known, safe family hub to this big, empty, silent space? How does that affect our perception of safety? The narrator feeling uncomfortable, feeling frozen in place before anything actually happened physically. That suggests a deep psychological impact, doesn't it? Even before a real threat appears.
Yeah, exactly. And here's where it gets, really interesting. They woke up around midnight. There was a sound from the walk-in closet. Described it like something had fallen, but weirdly, without making an actual noise, like an impact sound. Then they got this feeling, sort of like sleep paralysis, but without the paralysis, mind awake, hyper alert, but the body just wouldn't move. Then, like a literal second later, a muffled thump, definitely from inside the closet this time. And that's when the real paralysis kicked in. Complete inability to move, even if they'd wanted to. So, through barely open eyes, they watched as the closet door slowly creaked open. A dark figure steps out into the room, stands there, motionless, beside the bed for what felt like maybe 20 seconds, just standing there. Then silently, the figure turns and leaves the room. They hear footsteps crossing the floor, but then, unexpectedly, the creaks go upstairs, towards the 3rd floor. And the narrator absolutely knew there was no exit up there.
Wow. Okay, so as soon as they could move, right, they quietly grabbed their phone, dial 911, whispering to the dispatcher, "Someone's in the house."
Then they managed to quietly lock the bedroom door. Felt like ages, but then red and blue lights flashing outside the windows. Police arrived, narrator said, shocked at how quickly to rear it. They stormed inside, did a quick sweep through the house, came back and reported it was empty. Our narrator was just in disbelief, totally certain the intruder was still inside somewhere.
It's so unnerving. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the intruder's absolute silence, their refusal to engage or answer questions later, combined with that totally illogical access point to the roof, it just leaves us with way more questions than answers. It's not just a simple break-in. It's this deeply disturbing act that just defies easy explanation. It's a violation that feels different.
Yeah, totally. So, feeling completely unsettled, the narrator calls Uncle Rick. And Uncle Rick, she apparently snapped at the police over the phone, told them check again, check properly, emphasizing that, the narrator's life might have depended on it. So the police did it. They went back in, conducted a really thorough, methodical search this time, opening every single closet, checking under all the beds, tapping walls, pulling back shower curtains, double-checking every lock on every door and window, and that's when they found it, an unlocked bedroom window. On the 3rd floor, the exact room the narrator usually stayed in, the one they should have been sleeping in that night. Yeah. So then an officer shines a light around the outside of the property, up onto the roof, and there he was, described as a disgusting-looking bald man in tattered clothing who looked like he hadn't seen a shower in years, just just sitting there on the roof. They apprehended him, but he gave absolutely no answers, nothing about how he got in, how long he'd been there, or why on earth he was hiding in the closet, just kept this eerie, vacant look. To this day, the narrator has no idea why he hid in the closet or how he even got onto the roof in the first place. They say it's impossible to get to the roof from the ground. Uncle Rick doesn't know either.
And the fact that the narrator didn't sleep in their assigned room, that small choice potentially changed the entire outcome. It really makes you think, doesn't it? How often do these small, seemingly random decisions we make unknowingly alter our path, maybe even save us?
So what does this all mean? Well, the family's been pushing Uncle Rick to upgrade his home security, but apparently he's refused. It definitely makes you look at places you think are safe in a whole new way. Okay, moving on. Our next story takes us down to the Jersey Shore. Another beach house, this one described as magnificent, been in a family for generations, and again, not a solo trip. Our narrator was there with their friend Mike, just for a chill weekend escape, so the house itself, beautiful, magnificent Jersey Shore place. In Mike's family for ages, his grandparents had recently passed away, so the house was mostly dormant, sort of sitting empty, but Mike had free access anytime he wanted. It was mid-July. The plan, super simple: hang out, hit the beach, maybe the boardwalk, just a chill escape. They got there around 6 p.m. on a Friday. The house had that smell, that cozy, slightly musty beach house smell, like a mix of salt air and old wood. Really evocative of its history. They grabbed some subs, walked on the beach, even tried fishing, met a couple of girls, swapped numbers, found a nice, quiet, private spot on the beach. Next day, typical beach day stuff. Woke up around 9 a.m., went for a run on the boardwalk, spent the whole day out in the sun, came back, totally wiped, and just crashed early that evening.
And this story, it really emphasizes how quickly that normal, relaxed vibe can just flip, become incredibly unsettling. You have the familiar, comforting sensations, the smells, the sounds of a family home, and then suddenly it's contrasted with this abrupt, unnatural intrusion. It highlights that vulnerability, how expectations of safety can be shattered so fast.
Yeah, it shifts gears really quick here. Sometime after midnight, our narrator wakes up to this shrill, piercing beeping. Said it sounded like a smoke detector, but way more intense, like it cut straight through their skull. And it seemed to be coming from above them, from the third floor. So they wake up Mike. They both bolt upstairs. But there's no smoke, no flickering lights, no signs of a fire at all, nothing. The whole situation was just baffling. So they're searching around for what felt like painfully irritating minutes, right? With this awful beeping going on. And they finally find it. A small black device, about the size of a walkie-talkie. And it was tucked neatly under a pillow in one of the third floor bedrooms. Had a blinking red light, single switch on it. They flip the switch off. Boom! Beeping stops immediately. Okay, so for the next hour, they're trying to figure this thing out. What is it? How did it get here? What set it off? Just no good answers. Then the narrator gets this crazy thought about the switch. They pick up the device again, flip the switch on, beeping starts, flip it off, beeping stops. Mike just whispers, "Oh my God." And the chilling thought hits both of them at exactly the same time. The only way to operate the device was by hand. Someone else was in the house. Gosh. Okay, so Mike immediately calls the police. While he's doing that, the narrator locks and barricades the bedroom door they're in. Seemed like forever, but the police show up. They do a full sweep of the entire house while the two friends wait outside, probably terrified. When the police come back out, what they found is horrifying. They reported that every single window on the third floor was wide open. Every single one, including the bathroom windows. And not just that. Beds were flipped over, drawers yanked out of dressers, everything was on the floor. The specific room where they found the device, which they knew had been neat before, now looked completely ransacked.
Wow. Just completely trashed after they'd been in there.
Exactly. But the officers didn't find much else. No one hiding, no obvious prints, no weapons left behind, nothing tangible. They basically told them, make sure all the windows are locked up tight, secure everything, call us again if anything else happens, and then they left.
What's so fascinating and deeply disturbing here is the deliberate nature of it all. It feels almost playful in a terrifying way.
Yeah.
Setting off the device, then ransacking the room after they'd already seen it, after they'd been alerted. This really raises questions about the intruder's intent. It wasn't just about breaking in, was it? It feels more like it was about creating terror, a sense of violation, but without any direct confrontation. And that lack of answers, the why, it leaves this profound psychological scar. It's much deeper than just a simple burglary. It suggests a motive focused on psychological torment, maybe.
Yeah, it's chilling. So what does this all mean for them? Well, the narrator and Mike obviously didn't feel safe at all. They figured the person was probably crazy or on drugs, but they had nowhere else to go, so they had no choice but to stay the rest of the night. Luckily, nothing else happened. But the narrator finishes by saying, There are still parts of this night I can't explain. For all we know, whoever had been in that house that night might have never left. Gives you chills, right? Okay, let's move to our final account for today. This one involves a group of friends, what seems like an idyllic private beach, and it's a stark reminder, really, that danger can sometimes hide behind a friendly face. Our narrator is 22, just out of college, kind of living that stress-free life for a bit, rent-free at home, decent job, minimal expenses, saving money. Describes herself as not really a party girl, pretty routine life. She gets invited by her friend Lindsay to this luxurious beach house. Lindsay's family was, quote, loaded, both parents neurosurgeons, and the beach house sounded like a dream. Quiet, tucked away from the touristy chaos on its own private beach. Sounds amazing. Described as ultra-modern, looking more like a covert military safe house than a personal home. Interesting description. So it's the narrator, Lindsay, and two other friends, Sabrina and Thea. Instead of taking separate rooms, they decided it'd be more fun to all stay together in one of the kids' bedrooms that had 2 sets of bunk beds and its own attached bathroom, ready to let loose a bit. First night, though, they wanted to keep it pretty chill, so they just walked down to the private beach, did some stargazing, drank White Claws, listened to house music. Sounds pretty standard.
If we step back and look at the bigger picture here, this account really highlights the deceptive nature of perceived safety, especially in social settings. What begins as a very normal, low-stakes interaction, young people meeting on a beach at night, it devolves incredibly quickly. It just shows how vulnerability can be exploited, even when you think you're in a safe place, maybe even among potential new friends. The most dangerous threats often wear a mask of normalcy.
Right. So, while they're chilling on the beach, they notice a faint flickering light down the shore. Soon becomes clear it's a handheld flashlight carried by maybe 3 or 4 people just walking casually along the beach. As this group gets closer, the girls hear laughter, which makes them relax, right? They figure, okay, it's other young people having fun. Then one of them yells out, "Hi!" Friendly guy's voice. Turns out it's a group of 3 guys. Looked maybe a year or 2 older, had that typical beach boy look. They come over, sit down with their beers, and the 7 of them just hang out, continue drinking. Narrator notes they weren't overtly flirtatious, but they weren't boring either. Just seemed like normal guys. Okay, here's where things take a turn. About an hour later, several drinks in, the guys invite the girls back to their place. Now our narrator, she's tired. Leaning towards going to sleep, says she had no intention of hooking up. So she decides she's just going to head back to the house alone. But her 3 friends, especially Thea apparently, they wanted to keep hanging out with the boys. So the narrator walks back to Lindsay's house by herself. The other 6, Lindsay, Sabrina, Thea, and the 3 guys walk off along the beach towards the guy's place. Our narrator gets back, goes to bed sometime after 3:00 a.m. Not long after, still after 3 a.m., she wakes up to her phone ringing. It's a FaceTime call from Lindsay, which is immediately confusing, right? Lindsay should be back at the guy's place or home asleep, not calling her. She answers, and Lindsay just screamed into the phone that Thea and Sabrina had been kidnapped. Tells the narrator, "Get your car keys, get your car, now." Narrator feels this intense sense of fear and adrenaline just kicks in instantly. Lindsay quickly reassures her, "Already called the police, they're on their way." Then Lindsay starts walking the narrator through everything, how to open the driveway gate remotely where the car keys are. Narrator gets the car started, speeds out in minutes. Lindsay's describing the car they took, the direction it went. It tells the narrator they were about 10 houses down the beach to the left. So the narrator's driving at an insanely unsafe speed, just flying down the road, and she spots it. A car matching Lindsay's description. She hangs up with Lindsay, immediately calls 911 herself, tells the dispatcher exactly where they are, what's happening. Dispatcher tells her to keep her distance, just follow, don't engage.
And Lindsay's perspective here, it's absolutely harrowing but crucial. She had left the guy's place but realized she'd forgotten her purse. That single decision to turn around and go back for her purse, that was the pivotal moment. It meant she was there to witness the horrifying act, seeing Thea and Sabrina literally being thrown into the car. It really underscores the role of chance, doesn't it? These tiny decisions in the face of just profound danger.
Unbelievable. So the narrator's following the car, police dispatcher on the line. Suddenly, police lights appear up ahead of the suspect car. The car doesn't even try to evade. They probably just assumed it was an unrelated traffic stop, Narrator pulls over as instructed and just watches what she describes as pure chaos unfold. Cops forcibly removed all 3 men from the SUV at gunpoint, put them in cuffs, escorted them straight to a cruiser. Then an officer opens the trunk of the SUV and finds both Thea and Sabrina bound, and from the looks of it, pretty badly bruised.
Oh gosh, thank goodness they were found.
Right. So later, Lindsay filled in the blanks for the narrator. What happened after the narrator left? Apparently, Lindsay was trying to be the responsible one, wasn't drinking as much, so she remembered things clearly. When she told the third guy, the one who maybe wasn't paired up, that she was going home too, he got really upset. Angry, even. Started yelling at her to get the hell out of his house and never come back. So Lindsay left, feeling weird about it, but then realized, forgot her purse, had to go back, and that's when she saw it. The other two guys throwing Thea and Sabrina into the back of the car before driving off. That's when she immediately called 911 and then called the narrator for help with the car chase. Afterwards, Thea's parents, being lawyers, they jumped through dozens of hoops, apparently, to keep the whole ordeal out of the public eye as much as possible, but also to make sure the guys received maximum prison sentences. And get this, the house the guys were staying in didn't even belong to them. It was owned by an elderly couple who were away on vacation. So these guys were charged with a whole slew of other crimes on top of the kidnapping. Our narrator says she was traumatized for years. Couldn't do beaches, couldn't do late nights, couldn't talk to strangers. Became really antisocial for a while, drifted from her friends, though she says that's changed now, thankfully. She also notes that for Thea and Sabrina, maybe not remembering anything is a blessing in disguise. And she reflects on that chain of events. Had I not gone home, I might not have been able to reach Lindsay's car in time, and had it not been for that, the police may have never found those guys' car.
Wow.
Okay, so these 3 deep dives, these beach-ass horrors, they really do underscore how quickly that sense of peace, that relaxation we expect, can just shatter into profound fear. From a silent squatter who shouldn't exist, to a mysterious, manipulative intruder playing games, to this terrifying encounter with strangers who seemed harmless. Each story is a potent reminder of how fragile safety can be, even in places we think of as completely idyllic.
Absolutely. And if we zoom out, look at the bigger picture, what really stands out is the unexpected nature of these threats. These weren't just, random smash and grabs or simple crimes. They often involved a degree of planning or psychological torment, where this really unnerving defiance of logic. It really challenges our basic assumptions about safety. And it raises an important question for you, the listener. How do we balance enjoying new experiences, exploring new places, with maintaining that healthy awareness of our surroundings? How do we learn to really trust our instincts when something feels off?
So what's the broader takeaway here? What does this mean for you in your own life? Perhaps it's just a powerful reminder that sometimes the scariest things aren't the obvious monsters, the things that go bump in the night. Sometimes it's the subtle breaches of comfort, the hidden dangers that lurk just beneath the surface of what looks perfectly normal, perfectly safe. It makes you consider, doesn't it? What seemingly secure environments in your own world might hold hidden vulnerabilities, just waiting for the right or maybe the wrong circumstances to be revealed?